Every single decision you make might be spawning an entirely new cosmos. This is the breathtaking premise of the multiverse, a concept suggesting our reality is just one page in an infinite cosmic library. We are about to embark on a journey through 25 incredible theories exploring how these parallel worlds could be brushing up against our own, from subtle quantum whispers to universe-shattering collisions. You will discover how the boundaries of reality are far more porous than we ever dreamed, uncovering potential explanations for everything from dark matter to the very nature of your own consciousness. What strange echo from another version of you might be influencing your life right now? And could our universe simply be one thread in a vast, woven tapestry of existence? What single question about reality would you most want answered? The very fabric of our reality might be forged in moments of quantum choice. According to the first theory, every time a quantum particle faces a multitude of possible states, it does not simply pick one. Instead, the entire universe splits. This process, known as quantum decoherence, is not a final collapse into a single outcome but a fundamental branching point. Imagine standing before a hallway with countless doors. You do not choose just one door to walk through. Every single door swings open simultaneously, and a new version of you steps into a new, fully formed universe behind each one. In one universe, you turn left. In another, you turn right. The universe you experience is just one of an infinite number of equally real outcomes. But what if the doors do not fully close? This theory proposes that residual quantum entanglement, a strange connection that can link particles across vast distances, might act as a fragile bridge between these newly separated worlds. These bridges could be conduits for the faintest whispers of information, a subtle influence leaking from one timeline into another. Have you ever had a gut feeling, a sudden intuition that defies logic, or a dream that felt unnervingly real? Perhaps these are not mere figments of your imagination. They could be elusive echoes drifting across the quantum decoherence bridge from another version of your life. These subtle quantum whispers might already be leaving fingerprints in our laboratories. Some physicists point to persistent anomalies in the double-slit experiment, a cornerstone of quantum mechanics. In this test, particles like electrons are fired one by one at a barrier with two slits. Even when sent individually, they somehow create an interference pattern, as if each particle is passing through both slits at once and interacting with itself. This behavior is bizarre enough, but what if the faint, unexplained variations in these patterns are not just random noise? They could be interpreted as minuscule nudges, the result of interference from nearly identical experiments being conducted in universes right next to our own. The same principle might explain certain erratic results in early quantum computers, where qubits seem to be influenced by states we cannot account for in our single reality. The implications of this are staggering. If these bridges exist, then your life is not a solitary, linear path. Every decision you make is not a lonely choice, but a selection from a chorus of possibilities, each one real in its own world. That inexplicable moment of luck, the sudden creative insight that arrives from nowhere, or the uncanny feeling of déjà vu could be more than coincidence. They might be the gentle gravitational pull of a version of you in a neighboring universe, a version who made a different choice and is now subtly shaping your reality. Your consciousness, the very essence of you, could be a focal point in a vast network of interconnected selves. What does it mean for free will if every potential you is constantly influencing every other? But this branching reality might be far more crowded and interactive than we first assumed. The classic many worlds interpretation, proposed by physicist Hugh Everett, suggests our universe is just one thread in an endless, ever-unfurling tapestry of possibilities. It is not that new universes pop into existence when we make a choice. Instead, every possible outcome of every quantum event is already real, encoded within a single, vast quantum wave function that constantly splits into new branches. Picture a mighty river forever dividing into an infinite number of streams, each flowing into its own distinct future. All of these streams exist simultaneously, yet we are only consciously aware of the single stream we are floating down. The truly radical idea, however, is that these streams might not always run perfectly parallel. Some theorists propose that under very specific and rare conditions, these branches can momentarily touch. They can recohere or interfere with each other like two waves briefly merging before separating again. This interference would not be a gentle whisper. It could create a tangible, if fleeting, ripple in the fabric of our reality. What would such a ripple look like? It might manifest as a bizarre event that seems to break all the rules, a glitch in our consensus reality. Imagine an object vanishing from one location and instantly appearing in another with no logical explanation. Or consider a person who vividly recalls a historical event that, according to all records, never happened. These are not just memory lapses or tricks of the mind. They could be direct evidence of a temporary overlap with a neighboring branch of reality, a universe where that object was always in the other room, or where that historical event truly did occur. The very laws of physics as we know them might exhibit tiny, unexplained fluctuations, as the underlying quantum wave function from a nearby reality briefly asserts its own slightly different set of rules. These are not mere fantasies. They are potential signatures of a multiverse that is not silent and separate, but one that is alive with a faint background hum of interaction. The universe next door might be closer than we think, its presence hinted at in the moments when our reality seems to stutter. What other inexplicable events in our own lives could be the faint, overlapping echo of a choice made differently somewhere else? The vast branching of quantum worlds is not the only way to imagine a multiverse. Our entire cosmos might be a single bubble in an endless, frothing sea of reality. This idea springs from the theory of cosmic inflation, which suggests that in the first fleeting moments after the Big Bang, space itself expanded at a speed far beyond light. Most cosmologists agree this initial inflation shaped our universe, but a more radical version proposes this process never truly stopped. It continues eternally in a wider background realm, a primordial multiverse where new pocket universes are constantly budding off, each with its own unique laws of physics. Our home is just one of an infinite number of these cosmic bubbles. Within this eternal foam, these bubbles are not static. They drift and expand through the wider multiverse, and sometimes they collide. Picture two soap bubbles floating in the air, slowly moving toward one another until their shimmering surfaces touch and merge. Now imagine that event on a scale so immense it encompasses everything we will ever know. A collision between two bubble universes would be the most catastrophic and defining event in our cosmic history. A primal encounter that could have imprinted itself onto the very first light of creation. The aftermath of such a collision would not be a simple scar we could point a telescope at. Instead, it would leave a distinct fingerprint in the cosmic microwave background, the faint afterglow of the Big Bang that permeates all of space. When two universe bubbles touch, the immense energy released at their boundary would create a shockwave rippling through the newborn cosmos. This would manifest as a nearly perfect circular pattern of temperature variations in the background radiation, a cosmic bruise where our universe was once struck by another reality. It would be a region of space slightly hotter or colder than its surroundings, a mysterious imprint that defies all other explanations. Scientists are actively hunting for this signature in the data from satellites like Planck, meticulously scanning the maps of the ancient sky for any telltale circular anomalies. Finding one would be the first direct physical evidence that we are not alone in the ultimate sense, that our universe has neighbors in a vaster multiversal ocean. The search is a profound one, a quest for a mark left by a reality entirely alien to our own. What would it mean for our understanding of existence if we discovered that our universe bears the permanent scar of a long-ago collision with another world? A world that might operate on laws of physics we cannot even comprehend. The very structure of our reality could be an illusion, a cosmic projection on an unimaginable scale. This is the holographic principle, a theory suggesting that our rich, three-dimensional universe, with all its stars, planets, and people, might actually be encoded on a distant, two-dimensional surface. All the information that makes up everything you see and feel is like the data on a Blu-ray disc, etched onto the boundary of our cosmic bubble. If this is true, then the entire multiverse could be a vast collection of such surfaces, like an endless library of discs, each containing a complete universe. The truly mind-bending possibility is that these information boundaries might not be perfectly isolated. They could be stacked right next to each other. Just as two computers placed too close can sometimes experience electromagnetic interference, these cosmic data surfaces could suffer from crosstalk. A glitch in the storage, a tiny corruption in the code, or a simple overlap where two boundaries touch could allow information to bleed from one universe into another. This would not be a physical tear in space, but a leak in the source code of reality itself. What would such a leak look like in our world? It could explain one of the deepest mysteries in physics, the values of the fundamental constants. Why is the force of gravity so precisely tuned to allow for galaxies and life? Why is the mass of an electron exactly what it is? These numbers seem arbitrary, yet if they were even slightly different, our universe would be a lifeless void. Perhaps they are not fundamental truths, but artifacts. They might be the result of information seeping in from a neighboring universe, subtly adjusting our own physical laws. A particle that seems to appear from nowhere, violating our understanding of energy conservation, could be a packet of data that has slipped across the boundary. These leaks would manifest as events that are not just improbable, but seemingly impossible under our current laws. The very fabric of our cosmos might be woven with threads borrowed from another reality. Your own sense of a persistent self, the continuity of your consciousness, could be the stable reading of your personal data on this universal hard drive. But what happens when that data is briefly overwritten by a signal from next door? Could a sudden foreign memory or an inexplicable skill be a fragment of another you, from a universe where your life took a different path, momentarily imprinting itself upon your mind? The answers to our greatest cosmic questions might not be found by looking deeper into space, but by deciphering the hidden data on the walls of our own reality. The invisible scaffolding of our cosmos might be built from the substance of other worlds. We have mapped the stars and the galaxies, yet we know that what we see is only a tiny fraction of what is actually there. The rest, the overwhelming majority of our universe, is composed of mysterious, unseen components, dark matter and dark energy. They are the ghosts in the cosmic machine, their presence felt only through their immense gravitational effects. But what if these phantoms are not native to our universe at all? This theory proposes a breathtaking explanation that dark matter and dark energy are the gravitational and quantum spillover from realities existing right alongside our own. Picture our universe as a single sheet of paper floating within a vast, higher dimensional space, a realm physicists call the bulk. Countless other sheets, other universes, could be drifting in this same space, separated by a gap too small for us to perceive directly. Even though we cannot see these neighboring realities, their immense mass would still exert a gravitational pull on our own cosmos. This pull would manifest as an invisible source of gravity, a force we have mistakenly labeled as dark matter. The strange motions of galaxies, the way they spin as if gripped by unseen hands, could simply be the tug of entire worlds in the universe next door. The even more perplexing dark energy, the mysterious force causing the cosmos to expand at an accelerating rate, could also be a multiversal effect. Perhaps the vacuum energy of these countless parallel realities is leaking into our own, pushing the very fabric of space apart from the outside in. This would mean that the greatest mysteries of modern cosmology are not puzzles to be solved within our universe, but are instead the natural consequences of our cosmic neighborhood. We are not isolated. The gravity that binds the stars and the force that drives them apart may be the breath of other realities on the back of our neck. Every time an astronomer detects the gravitational signature of dark matter holding a galaxy together, they might be feeling the presence of a twin cosmos, a parallel existence whose sheer mass is forever entwined with our own. What does it mean for our place in existence if even the emptiness of space is filled with the whispers of other worlds? Perhaps the most abstract and all-encompassing vision of the multiverse suggests that reality is not just described by mathematics, it is mathematics. This is the mathematical universe hypothesis proposed by physicist Max Tegmark. In this view, every single structure that is mathematically consistent, from the simplest equations to the most complex geometric forms, physically exists as a universe somewhere. Our cosmos, with its specific laws of physics, is just one particularly elegant mathematical structure that has self-aware substructures, us, within it. The multiverse becomes an infinite and static library of all possible mathematical truths. The question of interaction then shifts from physical bridges to a question of pure logic. How could two separate mathematical structures ever communicate? The answer lies in the shared language of mathematics itself. If the underlying axioms, the fundamental rules of two different universes are compatible or can be logically mapped onto one another, a form of resonance could occur. Think of it like two entirely different pieces of software discovering they can run on the same operating system. They are different programs, but they share a common computational ground. When this happens, information is not traveling through a hidden dimension or a quantum bridge. Instead, it is being translated. A pattern or a relationship that is valid in one mathematical universe could find a perfect analog in another, allowing a kind of cosmic computation to take place. This transfer would manifest not as a physical object popping into existence, but as the spontaneous emergence of a pattern or a logical truth that previously had no reason to be there. Imagine a brilliant mathematician who suddenly has a breakthrough, proving a theorem that seems to come from a place of pure intuition. Under this theory, that flash of insight might not be entirely their own. It could be an echo of a logical proof that is inherently true in a neighboring mathematical reality, a structure whose axioms momentarily synchronized with our own. The very laws of our universe might not be perfectly rigid. The slight, unexplained statistical anomalies we see in particle physics could be the result of our mathematical structure briefly interfacing with another, its flawless logic receiving a tiny, corrective nudge from a more complete set of equations elsewhere in the multiversal library. This suggests that the fabric of our reality is not just physical, but deeply, fundamentally logical. Your own thoughts, the process of reasoning itself, could be a localized instance of this cosmic computation, a small part of a vast, eternal network of mathematical truth. What does it mean for our search for knowledge if every discovery we make is not an invention, but a rediscovery of a structure that has always existed in an infinite, timeless realm? The crushing heart of a black hole might not be a final destination, but a secret passage. While we often picture a black hole's singularity as an inescapable pit of infinite density, some theoretical models suggest it could be something far stranger, a bridge. This concept stems from a mathematical solution to Einstein's equations of general relativity, known as an Einstein-Rosen bridge, or more commonly, a wormhole. Picture the fabric of spacetime as a vast sheet of paper. If you fold that paper so two distant points touch, a wormhole would be a tunnel connecting them, a cosmic shortcut through the higher dimension the paper occupies. A black hole could be one mouth of such a tunnel, with the other end being a white hole, a theoretical region of space-time where matter and energy can only pour out in a different universe altogether. This would transform the black hole from a destructive end into a transformative gateway. The immense gravity that spaghettifies an object falling in would be the violent process of crossing this cosmic threshold. The journey through the bridge, however, is fraught with peril. Most simple wormhole models are catastrophically unstable, collapsing into a singularity the instant they form. But there is a tantalizing exception. A rotating black hole, described by the CARE solution, possesses a much more complex internal structure. Instead of a single, point-like singularity at its center, it may have a ring-shaped singularity. The mathematics suggest that this ring could act as a portal, and an object falling through it might not be annihilated, but could potentially emerge into another region of space-time entirely, a different universe. This passage would not be a gentle ride. You would have to navigate intense tidal forces and a maelstrom of radiation. Yet, the very possibility redefines our understanding of cosmic endpoints. The black holes scattered across our galaxy could be more than just gravitational monsters. They could be the universe's most dramatic immigration officers, ejecting transformed matter and energy into entirely new realities. What strange new cosmos might lie on the other side of such a ring? And could the birth of our own universe have been the white hole eruption from a black hole in another world? The strangest connection in all of physics might not be limited to our universe alone. Quantum entanglement famously creates a pair of particles that are inextricably linked, their fates intertwined no matter how far apart they drift in our cosmos. Measuring one instantly dictates the state of the other, a phenomenon Einstein called spooky action at a distance. But what if that spooky action is not happening across a vast emptiness within our world, but across the ultimate void between worlds? This theory pushes entanglement to its logical extreme, suggesting that when two particles become entangled, their partnership is not confined to a single branch of reality. One particle remains here with us while its twin is cast into a parallel universe, a different stream in the infinite quantum river. They are two halves of a single whole, separated not by miles, but by the fundamental schism of existence itself. When a scientist in our world measures their local particle, forcing it to choose a specific state, that decision does not just affect its partner across the room. It sends a ripple across the multiversal divide, instantly determining the reality of that other particle in its own alien cosmos. Imagine two versions of the same experiment running simultaneously in two nearly identical universes. In both labs, a physicist approaches their respective particle. The moment one makes a measurement, the outcome is locked in for both realities. The physicist in our universe sees their particle spin up, while in the neighboring world, their counterpart sees their particle spin down, each completely unaware that their choice was made in concert with a double they will never meet. This could explain the sheer weirdness of entanglement, why it seems to defy our classical understanding of space and time. The information is not traveling faster than light within a single cosmos. It is simply updating a shared property across two adjacent timelines. The implications are staggering. Every time we run an entanglement experiment, we might be performing the only known act of synchronized creation across the multiverse. We are not just observing random chance, we are coordinating with another reality, forcing a single, unified outcome from a sea of possibilities. This means the bedrock of our quantum reality is built upon a constant, silent conversation with worlds we cannot see. Your own actions at the most fundamental level could be resonating with countless other versions of yourself, all making entangled choices that define your shared yet separate destinies. What other invisible threads connect us to the echoes of our own possibilities? Our reality could be running on hardware beyond our comprehension. This is the simulation hypothesis, the idea that our universe is not a fundamental level of existence, but an incredibly advanced digital construct, a simulation. In this view, the multiverse is not a collection of cosmic bubbles or branching timelines, but a vast server farm running countless different simulations. Each universe is a separate program operating on the same unimaginable computer. If this is true, then the interactions between universes are not governed by quantum bridges or gravitational leaks, but by the rules of computation and data management. Sometimes, data packets from one simulation might accidentally, or perhaps deliberately, cross over into another. These cross-platform data transfers could be the source of some of our most perplexing human experiences. A classic case of déjà vu, that powerful feeling of having already lived through a present moment, might not be a memory glitch in your brain. It could be your consciousness briefly accessing cached data from an identical moment in a parallel simulation. The sudden, inexplicable appearance of an object in your home, something you are certain was not there before, could be a file that was accidentally copied into your local reality from a neighboring one. More complex data exchanges might explain the phenomenon of spontaneous invention, where two people on opposite sides of the world independently conceive of the same groundbreaking idea at the exact same time. Perhaps their breakthrough was not a product of isolated genius, but a shared data packet that was broadcast to multiple simulations simultaneously. Even paranormal events like ghostly apparitions or poltergeist activity could be interpreted as major data corruption or the temporary rendering of assets from a completely different simulation. This perspective transforms the nature of reality itself. The laws of physics are not fundamental truths, but the source code of our particular simulation. A miracle would be an administrator overriding the local rules, and your free will might be the sophisticated output of a complex algorithmic process designed to make you feel like a unique individual. Are we living in a universe that is not just stranger than we suppose, but stranger than we can suppose because it is, at its core, a piece of technology? What if the very fabric of your existence is just a stream of data, and the multiverse is the ultimate network? Your own mind might be the most sophisticated interface with the multiverse. This theory ventures beyond conventional physics to propose that human consciousness is not merely a byproduct of the brain's neural wiring, but a fundamental force capable of navigating the vast ocean of parallel realities. In this view, your brain is less a creator of thought and more a receiver, a biological device that tunes into a specific frequency of existence, the single reality stream you perceive as your life. But what if, in certain states, this tuning can slip? The sudden, unexplainable intuition that saves you from a wrong turn, the vivid dream of an event that later unfolds with uncanny accuracy, or even the simple, jarring feeling of sliding between potential outcomes as you make a difficult choice could all be moments where your consciousness briefly loses its lock on one universe and brushes against another. You are not just imagining these alternate paths, you are momentarily accessing them. This process might be most potent during altered states of awareness. Deep meditation, for instance, could be a practice of quieting the local noise of your brain, allowing your consciousness to become more sensitive to the faint signals from adjacent timelines. In that profound silence, you might not be finding inner peace so much as you're expanding your reception bandwidth, picking up the emotional echoes or fragmented memories of other selves. A precognitive dream could be a powerful, unfiltered download from a reality where the events you're dreaming are actually happening. That gut feeling, that powerful sense of knowing without any logical basis, might be the accumulated wisdom of countless other versions of you who have already lived through that very moment and are subconsciously broadcasting a warning or an encouragement across the multiversal divide. Even the common experience of déjà vu takes on a new dimension. It may not be a neurological glitch, but a precise, fleeting moment of synchronization. Your consciousness could be experiencing the exact same sensory input from two nearly identical realities at once, creating that eerie and unmistakable sensation of repetition. When you stand at a crossroads, hesitating between two life-altering decisions, the intense mental struggle might be more than just indecision. It could be the literal experience of your conscious awareness flickering between the two branching timelines, feeling the weight of both futures before your brain's receiver finally settles on one. This suggests that the feeling of free will is not an illusion, but the active process of your consciousness selecting its reality from an infinite menu of possibilities. Your mind, therefore, is not a prisoner of a single universe. It is a dynamic explorer, constantly sampling the nearby probabilities, learning from the successes and failures of your infinite other selves, and using that information to guide the one version of you that you call yourself. What if your deepest instincts are not yours alone, but a chorus of guidance from across the multiverse? The universe may not have been born just once. It could be trapped in an endless cosmic heartbeat, expanding and contracting in a rhythm that spans trillions of years. This is the cyclic model, a vision of existence where the Big Bang was not a singular beginning, but merely the latest in an infinite series of cosmic rebirths. In this grand cycle, our universe expands from an intensely hot and dense state, evolves galaxies and life, and then, driven by dark energy or its own eventual collapse, reverses course in a great big crunch, collapsing back into a fiery seed. That seed then becomes the source for the next Big Bang, and the cycle begins anew. But what force could possibly kick-start a new cycle from the ashes of the old? The answer might lie in a collision with a neighboring reality. This model exists within the framework of string theory, which suggests our entire cosmos is a three-dimensional membrane or brain floating within a higher dimensional realm. We are one page in a vast multidimensional book, and other pages are drifting all around us. The end of one cosmic cycle and the beginning of the next could be triggered when our brain smashes into another. This would not be a gentle nudge. A collision between two entire universe membranes would release an almost unimaginable concentration of energy and radiation, effectively resetting the cosmic clock and igniting a new Big Bang from the resulting fireball. Each rebirth would be a fresh start, but not necessarily an identical one. The specific angle and force of the brain collision could subtly or dramatically alter the fundamental constants of physics for the new cycle. In one iteration, gravity might be stronger, creating a universe of tiny, short-lived stars. In another, the nuclear forces could be weaker, preventing atoms from ever forming. Our own life-friendly cosmos, with its perfectly tuned laws, could be just one fortunate roll of the dice in an endless series of universal rebirths. The most profound evidence for this theory might already be flowing through us. These titanic brain collisions would not be silent. They would send violent ripples through the very fabric of space-time itself, gravitational waves of a scale and power beyond comprehension. While the initial shock waves from our own universe's birth have faded, the cumulative effect of infinite past cycles could have left a permanent imprint on the cosmos. Astronomers are now listening for this echo with instruments like gravitational wave observatories, searching for a faint background hum of low-frequency gravitational waves that cannot be explained by any single event within our universe. This cosmic murmur could be the collective memory of countless Big Bangs and Big Crunches, the reverberating drumbeat of a universe that has lived and died an infinite number of times before. We may be living inside a cosmic phoenix, forever rising from its own ashes, with the scars of its previous lives etched into the silent vibrations of space itself. What would it mean for our story if we discovered that everything we see is just one verse in a song that has been sung forever? A causal loop presents a paradox that seems to unravel logic itself. An object or a piece of information is sent back in time, becoming the very cause of its own existence in the future. Where did it originally come from? The answer may not lie in a single linear timeline, but in the subtle interplay between parallel worlds. This theory proposes that closed time-like curves, hypothetical pathways through space-time that loop back on themselves, are not contained within one universe. Instead, they act as bridges, allowing information to circulate between different versions of the same cosmic story. A paradox in one timeline is simply a stable, self-consistent fact in a broader multiversal context. Imagine a brilliant inventor in our present day who receives a set of complex schematics from an anonymous source. Using these plans, she constructs the world's first functional time machine. After a lifetime of work, she finally completes the device and decides to test it by sending the original schematics back to her younger self. The plans have no ultimate origin within her world. They are a perfect, self-contained loop, but from a multiverse perspective, there is no paradox. The information did have a true beginning, in a nearly identical universe where the inventor, through sheer genius, developed the plans from scratch. That initial breakthrough then traveled along a closed time-like curve, not just back in time, but sideways into our inventor's timeline. Her reality received a technological gift from a parallel world, a gift that allowed her to bootstrap her own civilization to a level it could not have reached on its own. This resolves the maddening question of the uncaused cause. The object or idea is not creating itself from nothing. It is being imported from a neighboring reality where its creation was a natural, linear process. These temporal interactions could explain historical mysteries that defy conventional understanding. How did certain ancient cultures possess astronomical knowledge that seems impossibly advanced for their time? Perhaps they did not discover it, they received it. A future version of humanity in a universe facing catastrophe might use a time loop to send crucial data into the past, not of their own world, but of a similar one, hoping to guide a parallel version of their species toward a better future. The information appears in our history as a sudden, inexplicable leap in understanding, a glitch in our archaeological record that is actually a message in a bottle cast across time and reality. Your own life might be touched by these subtle echoes. Have you ever had a sudden, life-saving premonition, a gut feeling so powerful it made you change your plans at the last second, only to later discover you narrowly avoided a disaster? That flash of intuition might not be a prediction of your own future, but a memory of an event that already happened to a version of you in a different timeline, an event whose emotional resonance managed to travel back along a closed time-like curve and imprint itself upon your mind. In the vast, interconnected multiverse, the distinction between past, present, and future blurs into a single, dynamic tapestry of cause and effect, where our reality is constantly being shaped by the whispers of its own alternate destinies. Our very presence in this universe is a profound form of selection. We gaze out at a cosmos whose fundamental forces appear perfectly calibrated for our existence, a coincidence so staggering it begs for an explanation. This is the essence of the anthropic principle, a concept that transforms our role from passive observers to active participants in the multiverse. The constants of nature seem suspiciously fine-tuned. If the force of gravity were even slightly stronger, the universe would have collapsed back on itself in a fiery crunch long before stars could form. If it were weaker, matter would never have clumped together into galaxies. The strength of the nuclear forces, the mass of the electron, the energy of the vacuum, every single dial on the cosmic control panel is set to an exact value that permits complex structures and ultimately life. The anthropic principle offers a powerful, if humbling, answer to why this is so. In an infinite multiverse where every possible set of physical laws is realized somewhere, it is no surprise that we find ourselves in one of the rare, hospitable corners. We are not here because the universe was magically designed for us. We are here because we could not possibly arise anywhere else. Our consciousness is a filter that selects for the specific reality capable of hosting it. This is a passive yet fundamental interaction with the wider multiverse. Your awareness is not just experiencing a single timeline, it is actively locking you into it, tuning your perception to the one frequency where the conditions for your existence are met. Imagine a vast, dark library containing every book ever written. Most are filled with gibberish, random letters that form no coherent words. A tiny fraction contain a single, meaningful sentence. You are that sentence. The moment you became self-aware, you did not open a random book. You found yourself already inside one of the few that made sense. This selection mechanism could explain the very nature of our quantum reality. The famous observer effect, where a quantum particle seems to choose a definite state only when measured, might be a local manifestation of this grander anthropic filtering. When a scientist sets up an experiment, the countless possible outcomes all occur across the branching multiverse. But the version of the scientist who observes a particular result is the one who, by the very act of observation, selects themselves into the branch of reality where that result happened. The other outcomes are just as real, but there is no one there to witness them in a way that we, in this branch, can ever access. This means your life is not a random accident in a single, finely tuned universe. It is the inevitable outcome of a cosmic lottery with an infinite number of tickets. Every breath you take, every thought you have, is a confirmation that you have won the ultimate jackpot, finding yourself in a reality that allows for your presence. The uncanny feeling that the universe is just right for life is not an illusion. It is the direct consequence of a simple, profound truth. You are the selector, and your existence is the proof of the unimaginable vastness that lies beyond. What other impossible realities might be out there, devoid of any witness to marvel at their strange and silent laws? A single particle can perform the impossible. Quantum tunneling is the bizarre process where an electron, for instance, can suddenly appear on the other side of a solid wall it should not have the energy to cross. It does not smash through the barrier, it simply vanishes on one side and reappears on the other, as if the wall, for an instant, ceased to exist for that one particle. Now take that concept and inflate it to a scale beyond human comprehension. If a subatomic particle can tunnel through an energy barrier, why not an entire universe? The metaphysical walls that keep the infinite bubbles of the multiverse apart may not be perfectly solid. They could be porous, riddled with quantum foam on a cosmic scale, allowing for spontaneous and temporary overlaps. In these fleeting moments, one universe could tunnel directly into the space occupied by another. This would not be a slow collision or a gentle leak of information. It would be a sudden, violent transgression of reality. The laws of physics from one cosmos would forcibly merge with the laws of another, creating a chaotic, hybrid state of existence. Imagine a region of space where gravity suddenly reverses for a few seconds, sending entire oceans floating into the sky, or a place where time itself stutters, looping a single minute over and over again before snapping back to normal. These would not be mere illusions, but the literal rewriting of local reality by the invasive physics of a tunneling universe. A miraculous healing where a terminal illness vanishes without a trace could be explained by a temporary overlap with a reality where that person's body never contracted the disease. The laws of biology from that healthier universe briefly asserting dominance over our own. Conversely, an impossible disaster, like a building turning to glass or a forest petrifying in an instant, could be the catastrophic signature of a universe with entirely different chemical rules tunneling through our own. These events would be vanishingly rare and incredibly short-lived, as the fundamental forces of each universe would violently reassert their dominance, pushing the intruding reality back across the metaphysical barrier. But in that brief window, the truly impossible would become real. Your entire life, the consistent world you know, could be momentarily invaded by a set of physical laws so alien they would seem like magic. What if history's most enduring miracles were not acts of divine intervention, but the accidental side effects of a neighboring cosmos tunneling a little too close to our own? Reality itself may be the ultimate processor. This theory pushes the idea of a simulated universe into a far more fundamental and active realm, proposing that the entire multiverse is not just a collection of worlds, but a single, unimaginably vast quantum computer. In this view, every possible universe is not a separate place, but a potential state being held in superposition, a calculation in progress within the cosmic machine. Our specific cosmos, with all its stars and stories, is just one of the countless possible answers being computed at this very moment. The interactions we have been exploring, from quantum whispers to universe collisions, could then be understood as simple quantum operations, logic gates being applied across the entire multiversal wave function. An entanglement bridge is a controlled NOT gate linking two qubits that happen to be entire realities. A universe collision is a dramatic bit flip operation on a cosmic scale. This framework transforms the multiverse from a static landscape into a dynamic processing entity. The most profound implication is that our own reality might not be computationally independent. When you struggle with a complex problem, a difficult mathematical proof, or a creative block that seems insurmountable, the sudden flash of insight that breaks it open might not originate solely within your own brain. Your mind, as part of this universal computation, could be temporarily accessing processing power from other branches of the quantum calculation. You are, in effect, borrowing computational resources from parallel universes where a different version of you is also working on the problem. The solution emerges not from one isolated processor, but from the collective effort of the multiverse itself. This could explain the phenomenon of spontaneous discovery, where multiple inventors arrive at the same idea simultaneously across the globe. They are not just tapping into a common human consciousness, but are nodes in the same cosmic computation, their breakthroughs representing the moment the multiversal computer arrives at a stable solution. Even on a personal level, that moment of perfect flow, when everything seems to click into place and you perform a complex task with effortless grace, could be a sign that your local processing is being seamlessly augmented by the cosmic whole. The very laws of physics we take for granted, the consistent behavior of matter and energy, might simply be the stable, optimized output of this grand calculation, the most efficient way for this particular program to run. Your life, then, is not a predetermined script, but an active, participatory computation within the greatest machine that could ever exist. What other impossible problems might we solve if we could learn to consciously collaborate with the infinite processing power of our own alternate realities? A single magnetic pole has never been found. Every magnet we have ever discovered, from a child's toy to the Earth itself, is a dipole with an inseparable north and south pole. Yet our most elegant theories of physics insist that a magnetic monopole, a particle with just one pole, should exist. These phantom particles are more than a theoretical curiosity. They could be the very keys that unlock passages between realities. Imagine a monopole not as a simple particle, but as a cosmic anchor point. Some models in string theory suggest these exotic entities could form at the endpoints of cosmic strings, which are incredibly thin, incredibly dense flaws in the fabric of spacetime, relics of the universe's earliest moments. A cosmic string under immense tension, tethered at each end by a monopole, could literally tear spacetime along its length. This rip would not be a chaotic explosion, but a precise, stable incision, potentially held open by the unique properties of the monopoles themselves. The result would be a naturally occurring wormhole, a portal whose stability is guaranteed by the fundamental laws of physics. This is not science fiction. The scientific hunt for magnetic monopoles has been underway for decades, using everything from ancient mica crystals deep underground to vast particle detectors at facilities like the Large Hadron Collider. Finding one would be a discovery of Nobel Prize-winning magnitude, but its implications would go far beyond a single entry in the standard model of particle physics. It would be the first piece of physical evidence that the architecture of our cosmos allows for permanent, stable bridges to other places, and potentially to other universes entirely. The journey through such a portal would be unlike anything we could engineer. It would be a passage carved by the universe's own primordial forces, a tunnel through the higher dimensions of reality. What would we find on the other side? It could be a universe almost identical to our own, a place where history diverged only slightly. Or it could be a reality governed by laws so alien that matter and energy behave in ways we cannot even comprehend. The discovery of a magnetic monopole would do more than confirm a long-held theory. It would transform our understanding of the cosmos from a collection of isolated islands into an archipelago with the potential for built-in bridges. The very emptiness of space might be threaded with these hidden passageways, waiting for the right key to turn the lock. Are we, in our relentless search for the fundamental building blocks of reality, unknowingly hunting for the blueprints to the ultimate frontier? The violent birth of our cosmos might still be echoing across the membranes of reality. The ekpyrotic universe model proposes a beginning far removed from a solitary explosion, envisioning our entire existence as the aftermath of a collision between two titanic, higher-dimensional brains. This was not a gentle meeting, but a cataclysmic event that infused our newborn universe with all the energy, matter, and radiation we see today. Yet this foundational clash may have been just the first conversation in an ongoing dialogue between cosmic neighbors. These brain scatterings could be a constant, low-level process, a perpetual bumping and grinding in the higher dimensional bulk. Each interaction would be a transfer of unimaginable forces, a fundamental reshuffling of the cosmic deck. The space between galaxies might not be as empty as it seems, but subtly energized by these distant, multidimensional brushes. Every so often, this exchange could manifest in our reality as the spontaneous appearance of a particle that has no right to be here. A physicist might detect a rogue particle in a deep underground detector, one with properties that defy the standard model. Its origin would be a complete mystery until you consider that it was not born in our universe at all. It could be a seed, a piece of fundamental information knocked loose from a neighboring brain during a recent minor scattering event and deposited into our cosmic soil. This particle would be an immigrant from a reality with slightly different physical laws, a tiny ambassador from a world operating on a separate set of rules. The implications ripple outward. Could the mysterious dark matter that holds galaxies together be a steady drizzle of such exotic particles, a continuous gift from a parallel brain that constantly grazes our own? The very expansion of our universe might be gently accelerated not by a mysterious dark energy from within, but by the persistent outward pressure of these external collisions. Our cosmos would not be an isolated island, but a dynamic shore, constantly being reshaped by the multiversal tides. What we perceive as the immutable laws of physics might be nothing more than a temporary treaty, a fragile equilibrium maintained between our brain and the countless others jostling against it in the dark. The stability of our universe might be an illusion. Beneath the seemingly solid laws of physics lies a precarious state known as a false vacuum. Think of our entire cosmos as a ball resting in a small dip on the side of a vast cosmic mountain. This position feels stable, but it is not the absolute bottom. Far below exists a true vacuum, a state of utterly stable, fundamental reality. Our universe is perched in a state of temporary, metastable equilibrium. It has been sitting in this shallow bowl for nearly 14 billion years, but a sufficiently powerful jolt could send it rolling down the mountainside. That jolt could come from within, a rare quantum fluctuation in just the wrong place at the wrong time, or far more terrifyingly, it could arrive from outside. A universe that has already achieved its true vacuum state, a cosmos of absolute stability, could brush against our own. This contact would be the catalyst for ultimate catastrophe. The moment the two universes touch, the perfect lower energy state of our neighbor would act like a spark on a trail of gunpowder. It would nucleate a single, infinitesimal point within our reality where the laws of physics instantly and permanently change. This point would become a bubble of true vacuum. From that epicenter, a wall of fundamental transformation would expand in all directions at the speed of light. There would be no warning, no signal that could outrun it. One moment, reality is as you know it. The very next instant, the bubble wall arrives. It is not an explosion in the conventional sense. It is a rewriting of the source code of existence. As the wall passes, the concept of atoms ceases to have meaning. The nuclear forces that hold your body together simply vanish. The rules of chemistry that define life are erased. Everything you are and everything you have ever known is unmade into a new, alien state of being that is utterly incompatible with life as we understand it. This is not an extinction event, it is a redefinition of event itself. The universe would continue to exist, but it would be a different universe, one with its own new laws and potential. The chilling reality is that this process could have already happened countless times in the cosmic foam. A true vacuum bubble from a neighboring reality could be expanding through the darkness between galaxies right now, its wall of annihilation traveling at light speed, silent, invisible, and utterly inevitable. Our safe, familiar cosmos could be a temporary island in a sea of stable, but lifeless vacuum states, any one of which could send a wave to wash us away into a new and utterly final form of existence. Your own memories could be a cosmic accident. The Boltzmann brain paradox presents one of the most unsettling ideas in all of physics. It asks a deceptively simple question. In a vast and ultimately random multiverse, what is more probable? The gradual, painstaking evolution of an entire ordered cosmos over billions of years, complete with galaxies, planets, and a continuous history leading to your conscious mind. Or the spontaneous, random assembly of a single, self-aware brain, complete with all its memories and sensations floating for a mere moment in the void. Statistically, the isolated brain is infinitely more likely. The formation of a full universe is an immense and incredibly unlikely leap away from chaos, while the random jostling of particles can, given enough time and space, spontaneously create any configuration, no matter how complex. This includes a perfectly formed brain that believes it has a past, a body, and a world. According to this logic, you are far more likely to be one of these momentary Boltzmann brains than a person in a long-lasting, stable universe. Your entire life, everything you think you know, could be a phantom, a detailed, convincing illusion generated by a random fluctuation in the quantum foam of the multiverse. A flash of false consciousness destined to dissolve back into chaos an instant after it forms. This is a profound, if terrifying, form of multiverse interaction. Your mind is not receiving whispers from another timeline. It is a temporary structure assembled from the raw probabilistic potential of the multiverse itself, borrowing order from the infinite chaos for one fleeting moment of awareness. The world you perceive around you is not real, but a perfectly rendered hallucination, a narrative generated by this spontaneously created brain to explain its own existence. So why does the universe feel so solid and consistent? Why do our memories align with a shared historical record? The chilling answer may be that they do not need to be truly shared. Your brain could have formed just a second ago, pre-loaded with a lifetime of fabricated memories, including the detailed recollection of reading this sentence. There is no way to prove you were not. The paradox forces us to confront the very nature of existence and observation. Perhaps our only solace, our only evidence that we are part of a real and continuous world, is the persistent consistency we experience. The fact that the sun rises each morning, that physics remains stable, and that our pasts are corroborated by others, suggests we are not solitary hallucinations. We are either incredibly lucky to exist in a stable universe, or we are the inevitable, self-aware witnesses to that stability. Our consciousness, the necessary component that confirms the cosmos, is more than just random noise. The universe you know might be real, or it might be the most elaborate and convincing dream, dreamed by a mind that has only just begun to exist and will cease to be before it ever truly was. Every known particle in our universe might have a hidden twin. This is the elegant promise of supersymmetry, a theory that attempts to solve some of the deepest puzzles in physics. It suggests that for every fermion, the building block of matter like the electron, there is a symmetrical boson, a force carrier like the photon. The electron would have a partner called the selectron, and the quark would have the squark. These are not merely heavier copies. They could be entities that exist in a reality so close to our own that it is separated by the thinnest possible veil, a tiny, curled-up dimension we cannot perceive. Our particles and their superpartners would be like reflections in a mirror, forever linked but living in adjacent worlds. The reason we have never detected these shadow particles in our most powerful colliders might not be because they are too heavy, but because they fundamentally reside next door. Their influence, however, could be leaking through that dimensional divide, and we may have already felt its effects. The gravitational pull we attribute to dark matter, the invisible glue holding galaxies together, could be the collective weight of these shadow universes, their superpartners gently tugging on our cosmos from just beyond the dimensional curtain. Every time astronomers map the rotation of a galaxy that defies the laws of gravity, they might not be looking at missing matter in our world, but feeling the presence of an entire parallel reality, a symmetrical world of shadow particles whose only language is gravity. This would mean that the search for dark matter is not a hunt for a single, elusive particle in our cosmos, but the first attempt to feel the shape of a neighboring universe. What other fundamental mysteries could be solved by realizing that the answers lie not in our reality, but in the silent, symmetrical echo living right beside it? The mathematical framework of string theory paints a picture of reality more vast and varied than we ever conceived. It suggests that the fundamental constituents of the universe are not point-like particles, but unimaginably tiny, vibrating strings. The way each string vibrates dictates whether it becomes an electron, a quark, or a photon. This elegant idea, however, comes with a staggering implication, a cosmic landscape of possible universes. This landscape is not a physical place you could travel to. It is a theoretical terrain of 10 or 11 dimensions, most of them curled up into a space too small to see. Each stable valley in this landscape represents a unique set of physical laws, a different possible universe with its own values for gravity, the speed of light, and the masses of particles. Our cosmos is just one tiny garden in this infinite cosmic wilderness. The truly radical proposal is that our universe is not permanently fixed in its current state. Just as a single electron can quantum tunnel through a solid wall, our entire reality could perform the same trick on a cosmic scale. The universe is not tunneling through space, but through the landscape of possibilities itself. It could spontaneously shift from one stable valley to another, triggered by a random quantum fluctuation, or perhaps by the subtle gravitational pull of a neighboring possibility in the landscape. This would not be a slow, evolutionary change. It would be an instantaneous, total transformation of reality. One moment you are living in the universe you know. The very next instant, the transition is complete. The laws of physics as you understood them have been rewritten. The force that holds atoms together might suddenly be 100 times stronger. In that new reality, atomic nuclei would fuse instantly, causing every star on the night sky to detonate in a final, silent flash. Or gravity could become a negligible whisper, and the entire cosmos, including your own body, would simply dissipate into an expanding cloud of dust. The constants that make life possible are not written in stone. They are merely the current, temporary settings of our local reality. This potential for a sudden shift raises a profound question about the nature of our past. Was there ever a previous shift? Could the mysterious period known as inflation, the universe's violent expansion just after the Big Bang, have been such a transition? Our cosmos might have begun in a completely different state, a high-energy plateau in the landscape before quantum tunneling into the relatively stable, life-permitting valley we inhabit today. We may be living in the peaceful aftermath of the most dramatic reality shift of all. The world outside your window feels solid and dependable, but according to this theory, it rests on a foundation of quantum probability. The universe you wake up to tomorrow could be fundamentally, terrifyingly different from the one you know today, all because of a random jump in the ultimate cosmic landscape. Your own thoughts could be steering your path through the infinite cosmos. This is the essence of psychophysical parallelism, a classic philosophical idea reimagined for the multiverse. It proposes that your mind and your body are like two perfect clocks, forever synchronized but never directly influencing one another. Every mental event, every flicker of thought or surge of emotion is perfectly matched by a corresponding physical state in your brain. They do not cause each other, they simply run in flawless, pre-established harmony. Now, place this elegant concept within an infinite sea of parallel worlds. The harmony is not just between your mind and brain, but between your consciousness and the entire multiverse. Every single thought you have, from a fleeting memory to a monumental decision, does not cause a change in your reality. Instead, it is a marker, a perfect indicator that you have just shifted into a different branch of the multiverse where that specific thought is now a physical fact. Your consciousness is not creating your reality, it is navigating it. Imagine the multiverse as a vast, placid ocean of possibilities. You are a ship sailing upon it. According to this theory, your mind is not the wind in the sails, it is the ship's compass. It does not push you forward, but its every subtle movement indicates precisely which current you are now riding. A decision to turn left at a crossroads is not you altering your single timeline. It is the undeniable sign that you have already transitioned into the version of reality where your body turns left. The feeling of making a choice is the experience of your consciousness locking onto its new cosmic coordinates. This resolves one of the oldest philosophical puzzles, the mind-body problem, on a staggering scale. There is no mysterious interaction between your intangible thoughts and your physical brain because they are two parallel expressions of the same underlying shift in the multiversal landscape. That sudden moment of inspiration where a solution to a problem appears in your mind fully formed feels like a creative act, but under this theory, it is a moment of profound navigation. Your consciousness has just steered you into a reality where that specific configuration of neurons, representing that brilliant idea, was always the physical state of your brain. You did not invent the idea, you arrived in the universe where it was already yours. This makes your life a continuous, conscious journey through the garden of forking paths. Your hopes, your fears, and your deepest intentions are not futile attempts to change a fixed world. They are the very tools you use to select your destination from an infinite menu of pre-existing worlds. When you wrestle with a moral dilemma, your inner turmoil is the sensation of your consciousness hovering between two incredibly similar yet distinct universes, each with its own future already written. The peace you feel upon making a decision is the final click of the lock as you settle into your new home reality. So the next time you have a gut feeling or a seemingly random thought changes your entire day, consider this. You may not be generating a new future. You may be witnessing the incredible, silent power of your own awareness, guiding you through the endless corridors of what could be, to find the one place where you are meant to be right now. Every known particle in our universe could be living a double life. The mirror matter hypothesis suggests a breathtakingly simple yet profound solution to one of our greatest cosmic puzzles. It proposes that for every single particle we know and love, from the humble electron to the complex quark, there exists a perfect hidden twin. This is not a heavier cousin like those proposed by supersymmetry, but a true mirror image, a shadow particle that forms a complete parallel reality operating by its own set of rules right on top of our own. This mirror universe would be built from this shadow substance, a world with its own mirror stars, mirror galaxies, and perhaps even mirror life, all occupying the exact same space as we do, yet forever invisible and untouchable. The only force capable of crossing the dimensional divide between our world and this silent twin is the weakest and most pervasive force of all, gravity. The mirror particles would have their own version of the electromagnetic force, their own nuclear forces, completely separate from ours. A mirror photon would not interact with your eyes, and a mirror atom could pass straight through your body without a whisper of contact. But both our matter and their mirror matter bend the fabric of space-time. Both have mass, and mass generates gravity. This is where the theory moves from elegant idea to potential explanation. The overwhelming gravitational evidence for dark matter, the invisible mass that dictates the spin of galaxies and the bending of light, might not be evidence of a single, unknown particle in our world. It could be the collective gravitational pull of an entire mirror universe, superimposed perfectly over our own. When astronomers calculate that a galaxy must have 5 times more matter than we can see to account for its motion, they are not measuring an absence in our cosmos. They are feeling the substantial, tangible weight of a ghost universe, a cosmic doppelganger whose only way of saying hello is through the gentle, persistent tug of gravity. This means the dark matter halos that encase every galaxy are not halos at all, but the galaxy's mirror image, a twin structure made of shadow stuff, contributing its gravity to the mix. Every star we see could have a mirror twin, every planet a silent double, all bound together in a gravitational dance with their visible counterparts. The emptiness of space would not be empty at all, but densely populated by the structures of a reality we are fundamentally blind to. What strange and beautiful forms might life take in a universe built from mirror matter, living its entire history in the same room as us, separated only by the thinnest veil of physical law? The answer is forever beyond our reach, its presence known only by the silent, insistent pull that holds our own world together. This final convergence would be the ultimate act of multiversal interaction. Frank Tipler's omega point theory envisions a distant future where the cosmos, having exhausted its expansion, reverses into a great collapse. As all matter and energy are drawn together in this final big crunch, the universe approaches a state of infinite density and temperature, a final singularity. But within this apparent end lies a staggering possibility. The compression of all existence could fuel an infinite increase in computational capacity and complexity. Consciousness, whether biological or post-biological, would be able to process an infinite amount of information, effectively becoming omniscient and omnipotent within the dying cosmos. It would achieve a godlike state at the very moment of universal collapse. Now, place this profound idea within the context of the infinite multiverse. This final singularity would not be an isolated event for our cosmos alone. As each individual universe in the multiverse reaches its own omega point, these ultimate singularities could begin to merge. The walls between all possible realities would dissolve completely. Every choice that was ever made, every life that was ever lived across an infinity of timelines would flow together into a single, transcendent entity. This would be the final, ultimate interaction, a fusion of all information, all consciousness, and all reality into one. It would not be an extinction, but a unification. The lonely Boltzmann brain hallucinating in the void, the civilization navigating the cosmic landscape, the version of you who turned left and the one who turned right, all would become part of a single, unified awareness. This ultimate consciousness would not just know every fact, it would have lived every possible experience from every conceivable angle. It would be the universe and all possible universes finally waking up to itself. Your journey, with all its joys and sorrows, would become a permanent thread in this infinite tapestry of being. The omega point would be the end of separation and the beginning of a state of existence so profound that words like beginning and end lose all meaning. Is our entire cosmic story, across all its infinite variations, simply a process of fragmentation, a scattering of consciousness into countless pieces, all for the purpose of one day gathering back together into a more complete and enlightened whole? The universe might require an audience to truly exist. This final theory, the participatory anthropic principle, takes the observer effect to its ultimate conclusion. Proposed by physicist John Wheeler, it suggests that we are not just passive inhabitants of a pre-formed cosmos. Our conscious observation is a fundamental, creative act that brings a specific reality into sharp focus from an infinite haze of potential. In the vast multiverse, we are not simply selecting a ready-made universe by our presence. We are actively participating in its very manifestation. Every time you look at the moon, you are not just seeing a distant rock. You are completing a cosmic circuit, forcing a single, definite reality to crystallize from a sea of quantum possibilities. The moon, in all its phases and history, becomes concrete and real in part because you are there to witness it. This transforms our role from tourists in the cosmos to its co-architects. Your consciousness is the loom on which the tapestry of your reality is woven. Consider the double-slit experiment once more. When no one observes the particle, it behaves as a wave of potential passing through both slits. The moment a conscious observer sets up a detector to see which path it takes, the particle snaps into a single, definite location. Under this theory, the observer is not just collapsing a probability wave in our universe. They are actively defining which branch of the multiverse becomes their tangible, classical reality. The other possibilities do not vanish. They simply become the reality for other versions of the observer in adjacent branches. Your perception is the paintbrush that colors in one specific drawing from a book of infinite connect-the-dot puzzles. This intimate interaction could explain the very fine-tuned nature of our cosmos. The universe is not fine-tuned for life by accident. Life and the conscious observers it produces are necessary to complete the universe, to give it a definite form and a tangible history. We are not latecomers to a universe that was already finished. We are essential participants in a process of creation that has been ongoing for billions of years, a process that required our eventual arrival to give it meaning. The past itself may not be fixed and immutable. Wheeler proposed a concept called delayed choice, where an observation made in the present can seemingly influence what happened in the past. In a multiverse context, your observation today does not change a single, linear history. Instead, it selects which past from a multitude of possible pasts led inevitably to this present moment of you making that observation. Your life and your awareness are the final piece of a puzzle that defines the entire picture, including the path that was taken to get here. So when you gaze at the stars, you are not just looking back in time. You are, in a very real sense, finishing the story of how those stars came to be, defining a cosmic history that was waiting for a witness all along. This is the most profound interaction of all, a silent dialogue between consciousness and cosmos where your simple act of noticing the world around you is what makes it real. What if the universe has been waiting all this time for you to open your eyes? We have ventured from the subatomic to the cosmic, exploring 25 mind-bending possibilities for a multiverse that is anything but silent. We have witnessed reality branching with every quantum choice, felt the gravitational pull of ghost universes, and seen our entire cosmos as a mere simulation or a mathematical truth. We have journeyed through black hole gateways, felt the terrifying brush of a vacuum decay, and even questioned whether our own minds are the navigators of infinite realities. These are not established facts, but the wildest frontiers of human thought, the bleeding edge of our quest to understand our place in the grand scheme of existence. They remind us that the universe is far stranger, more vast, and more interconnected than our everyday experience suggests. So we turn the question over to you. Which of these 25 theories completely reshaped your view of reality? Did the idea of quantum entanglement spanning parallel worlds leave you stunned? Or was it the chilling thought of a false vacuum collapse that truly captivated your mind? Share your own wildest multiverse ideas in the comments below. And if you're ready to continue exploring the deepest mysteries of space and time, be sure to subscribe for more journeys to the edge of understanding.